I am so proud to introduce our panelists here. We're gonna switch gears up a little bit. We're gonna talk about negotiation. We're gonna talk about business tactics for creators. So for all you aspiring creators out there, we hope you have something to learn in this. And let's just bring the panel out now. We've got Miss Courtney Blum of Filament Stories, Mr. Jonathan Levy, Mr. Adrian Lubin, Mars Gizmo, and Mr. David Meow 3D DIY. Welcome, everybody. All right, you guys having a good time so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
I can sleep here.
I'll try to stay awake. I hope I don't bore you that much. Now, I have to tell you, we had a panel just before lunch, and one of the things that I think a lot of people don't really consider when you get started with a YouTube or being a creator is that you're a business. And I think a lot of times maybe each of you can share in a moment like how you got your start, because we don't even know what we have sometimes when we start, right? Like it might just be kind of a side thing you're doing for fun, and then all of a sudden you blow up and you're like, what am I doing? I have a saying that that resonates with me, and it's like, we learn faster on fire. Like, I truly believe that, and that's a level of chaos that not everybody can handle. But I think that it's very appropriate in the world of content creation because, again, we don't know where we started. So, really quick, Courtney, would you start us off by kind of speaking to what your experience was when you first started the channel? Was it what you expected? And then we'll get into what it takes to grow it and negotiate and all that from here.
Sure. I would just like to say that you always have the perfect saying for everything. You always do.
I don't know about that. I steal shamelessly.
You have stolen the perfect saying for every situation. So I started Filament Stories because I loved filament, and there was a lot of content out there on 3D printers, but not really anyone that was focusing on filament, and I was frustrated because I couldn't see what the filament really looked like in a lot of cases. And so I was getting it and wanted to show people. So we didn't know what we were doing as far as filming. We didn't know what we were doing publishing videos. In fact, we were going very stupid, long form, so wide, 2 minutes about one filament, and I was talking so slow. It was so boring, right? And so then I got some really good advice. I got some amazing advice from 2 content creators one day. You may know both of them. One was Mihai Stanmir, and the other one was Mark
Adrian
Gizmo.
knows him.
Yep. He knows
his brother.
So Mihai started a Patreon, and I was like, oh, heck yeah, and I jumped right on it. And so I got on his first Patreon call, and towards the end, it turned into hey, let's give Courtney advice about Filament Stories and content creation. It was absolutely amazing. It was really good, because you all told me things that, and you were straight up with me, don't do that, that's bad. That's a great thing about Mars Gizmo and Mihai. They'll be like, okay. And after the first videos, I would put them out. Mihai was like, okay, so that sucked, and here's why. And I needed that, but I learned a lot from it, right? And he meant it in a good way. So it was great to have that. And then there is a point where suddenly you get noticed and companies want to work with you. And that's when things change, which is, I think, what we'll talk about.
Excellent way to tee that up.
Yeah.
Jonathan, for you obviously you have a very broad background in business and a lot of other stuff. So the Next Layer was not your first rodeo, clearly.
No, it wasn't even my first YouTube channel.
Wasn't even your first, yeah. So when you decided to start that up, how much of the influence of your past, soup of business and stuff was there? And
so for context, I spent 8 years in content creation, I like to say, so online courses predominantly and podcasts, and I did all the learning of what not to do through that. Different medium, but still learning the things about lighting and editing and script creation and all of that. As a hobby, I did a couple other YouTube channels, one which was on Bitcoin, not cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and understanding the fundamentals and how does this technology work kind of thing. And that was a really great school because it's super competitive and it's very loud and there's a lot of noise, I would say even more than here. And none of my previous channels took off in the way that the Next Layer did, simply because I had to make all the mistakes and learn, even if I came in with content creation chops. And I have a really phenomenal team that I poached from my last business. But you have to make a lot of those mistakes. You have to have the terrible audio, and you have to have the terrible thumbnail, and you have to do the lousy title, and you got to learn it.
Yeah, just for some context really quick, guys, I'm going to hop around. Everybody's going to get a good shot. So if I skip over you like I'm about to right now, don't start crying on me, okay, Adrian?
I wasn't ready.
So, well, yeah, but
No,
I'm
I'm just
going to
kidding.
prompt you. You're going to be fine.
Okay,
It's all
yeah,
going to be good. And then to let you guys know, we're going to go about 45 minutes, but I'm going to save the last bit so you guys can ask them questions as well, because we really want this to be an engagement, a learning experience for everybody. You guys have an opportunity. So, Dave, my question for you then is how much of what Jonathan just said is appropriate, like learning what not to do has been as much as about like figuring out what you want to do.
Well, so I think I do mainly short form content, and you do YouTube, what we just learned, and I think those worlds are a little different.
Sure.
I think the mistakes I make do not detriment what I do as much as long form does, because the content is more disposable. It doesn't last forever. It might be up for 3 days and then everyone's forgot about it.
Well, you say that, but I see some pretty epic stuff pinned to your profile.
Yeah,
now
those are
blown up pretty well.
They've done well, and those last longer, and those are more ones that I'm proud of. And then I also know the ones that get the most engagement, so I'll put it up there. So I have the freedom to make more mistakes and learn from it. And I think making mistakes is really important.
Yes.
Because you learn what works and what doesn't. So for me, I'm always telling people who are aspiring to make content is to make as many mistakes as you can, but I think it's more important to get the content out there, especially if you're doing short form, because you want to put it out there and learn. And if you kind of overanalyze it, overthink it, you kind of get in this trap of like, it's not good enough, I'm not going to put it out, and I'm going to keep making it better, and it's never going to get better. It's important to just kind of just get it out there, and then slowly as you get better, you learn things. And this kind of goes into, well, circling it back to sponsors. We're going to tell you some stuff about what we've done, but we've made tons of mistakes talking to sponsors and figuring out what works and what doesn't, what things that they ask for and what we're willing to do or not to do, and then we say yes to certain things and then realize, wow, I should not have said yes to doing that.
Oh man, that's some excellent foreshadowing.
Right. So, but yeah, that's making mistakes. We're all going to make it, and that's how we learn as makers. We embrace the mistakes, and it's about the process and not about that final outcome.
Can I touch on that real quick?
Yeah,
I came from startup world before all this content creation, and there's this concept of failing faster.
Yep.
Right. So how can you lower the stakes of failure? Because you're gonna have to make the mistakes. You're no matter what you are and what form of content you're making, you're gonna film a video and realize your mic was not on. Am I right? It's gonna happen.
Who's been there? Raise your hand.
Do you want it to happen?
Hasn't. Yeah, that
and
happens.
that's why I think short form is amazing. Even if you're a long form content creator, it's an amazing way to just get the reps in with such a low, I don't want to denigrate short form, but it's a lower commitment, it's a lower barrier to entry, it's a lower cost if you fail. With a sponsor, right? Let's try something out as a short instead of a video that I'm going to spend 3 weeks on, but also an idea, also a new camera that you get. Anything you want to test out, short form is amazing for lowering those barriers to just get the reps and test things out.
Well, I want to check with you on this, because clearly it's a completely different animal, and it's not to say it's just different. Maybe it's not. Is it easier, or is it just different? And then give us some background on Mars Gizmo and like how much business mindset did you start with versus just kind of learning as you go.
I think you touched one of the most important things when you are thinking to have your presence on social media as a creator or maybe as a business. The best way, I think, to showcase my learnings, for example, it's how I started. So I started with the business mindset in mind. I'm an electronics engineer by studies. And I was doing different projects and business endeavors before. The main reason why I started making the videos, because I wanted to learn social media marketing for businesses. I understood this is the way to go. If you're a business these days and if you don't have a social media presence, from my point of view, you're missing out a lot of money, to put it straight. The way to start, what you touched on, I was preparing, me and Mihai as well, my brother, we were preparing to make videos by watching other YouTubers and social media gurus and so on. So myself, I prepared, I think, 4 years, I was just consuming content one day. Yeah, next month, next time I'm gonna start. So then I was watching 2 or 3 years videos, how to make videos. Then I spent like 1 year to buy camera gear, to invest in camera gear. I created 0 videos in that time. The moment when I started, this was after like 4 years of trying to convince myself to start. The day when I started, I felt very confident. I turned on the camera and I was like, ooh, what am I saying now? It was like, I felt like a beginner. So don't do that. I highly encourage. And the only way I would say to learn the process is to fail.
Yeah.
Exactly what you pointed.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut. You can have as much money as you want. You can hire the best social media managers, gurus, whatever. What you need, or maybe there are 3 things what you currently get today by consuming content. If you're interested in aspect, there are 3 things. It's like, what do you have to do to create videos? Oh, you have to create like 1 video per week or 2 videos per week. You have to post it on 3 social media and so on. Why you do that? Oh, you want to do that because you want presence, maybe someday you get some sponsorship deals and so on. But nobody's teaching you the 3rd aspect, which is how to do that. Specifically, how to do that. Yeah, you have many tutorials like, buy this camera with this microphone, this is exactly what you have to do. It will never work. It's good to have a guidance. You need a guidance. You need a guide to take you from step 1 to the final step. But you need to practice and you have to understand you'll make a lot of mistakes. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Let's just, per Dave's foreshadowing, let's jump into the meat and potatoes here and just go straight to negotiating. Because how many of you guys feel like you're comfortable with that aspect of the business? As you've grown to the point where you know you have value and you know you want to work with sponsors and you want to do this full time and actually make the money, and nobody knows, like, well, how much can I actually ask for? Has that been something that you've had to practice and learn with because do you undervalue stuff? Are you worried you're going to make people balk? Courtney, what's your experience been on that?
Well, it is interesting, especially like, I have heard that the 3D printing space, that what companies are willing to pay and offer is not as high as what you're seeing in other industries. It's quite low. And this is not a bad thing, but like the first time I was offered free filament, I jumped at it to do a video, right? Free filament. But today, my time is more valuable than 2 spools of filament. And so getting companies to understand that, now that's filament specifically, and that's a lot of what I work in, but getting companies to understand that you have value and that it takes time to do what you can do, but you also have to understand, in my opinion, that if I'm going to ask a lot of money from a company, you don't want to say, I will guarantee views. You don't want to guarantee that you're going to have it. You can't guarantee, you don't control the algorithms. You're going to do a good job, and they're going to coming to work with you based on your history, and they can look at your stats, right? But you want to come to them with an offer, use your own contract, make your own, I guess, make the rules, what you want to do. And in my opinion, I think it's better to walk away if you don't get that. But if you're trying to do this full time and you need to close that deal, then close it. It's what you want to do.
That's a mistake you have to make as well. You have to take the deal where you're like, there's a few different, I shouldn't have taken that deals. One of them is I'm working way too hard for what they're paying. Another one is I'm not comfortable presenting this product to my audience. It's not good enough.
Oh, that was totally.
Those are a nightmare. There's I just don't like working with these people. I mean, there's a lot of those, and I think you have to make those mistakes a few times.
Yeah, you do. And it's really tough when you are, I'm going full time. I'm going to do this.
Right.
So I have to bring in that money, and that is through affiliate sales and sponsors and maybe ad revenue, but probably, that's not what it was. But yeah, working with companies that you didn't really want to work with. I will not work with a company that doesn't align with.
Yep.
Well, even if I had a company wanted to, we'll give you skirts. And we're like, you've never seen me below the waist. There's a desk there.
Well, we talked about this in the last panel too, but like the value of no and understanding,
Yeah.
like knowing your value, being confident enough to say that. But Adrian, obviously any company, I mean, any negotiation, it's like the company wants to get away with paying as little as possible that they have to, and you need to maximize because you can't feed your family on filament or printers or whatever else that they're sending. So was it an uncomfortable thing for you to start with? Did you leave a lot of money on the table when you were first getting started? What have you learned on that?
Yes and no, for sure. But I like to be practical with examples, with concrete examples. I help a lot of from content creators to businesses to grow on social media. Almost in every single case, there's okay, if you've never done this and you want to start, you are like, okay, how do I get paid? That's the main question. So how you get paid is iterating process. You start from asking, okay, whatever company, because you'll get rich. So you start posting, for example, today videos. After 1 month, 2 months, you'll start getting emails from different companies. Hey, here's this free printer. Can you make a video for us? Can you make 5 videos? And then you slowly start to ask let's start 100 euros per video. Then if they say yes, cool, next company, 200, 300, 500. As comfortable as you feel, usually you have to aim way higher than you personally feel if you don't have experience with businesses. The thing is you have to go through this process because anybody can tell you this is your reach, we can analyze your reach, we can definitely say you should ask 600 euros or maybe 5,000 euro per short, which you can easily do in some cases.
Yeah.
But then you have to go through the process so you are convinced yourself how to negotiate, because it's not enough for me or someone else to tell you or to pick your hand and to say hey, you should do this, go in this direction, because when I'm not there, you don't know what to do. And then the more deals will come in. And I wanted to touch on the point that everybody, or let me rephrase it, don't ever treat a deal or an agreement as a one-time transaction. Always try to attract businesses and business deals as long-term partnerships.
Yep.
Those are the most valuable ones, that are the easiest to maintain. And they offer success or guarantees a slightly higher success on both ways.
And I want to feed you this as a prompt.
Okay,
I think
I was
in
gonna
any
touch on
line
that.
of business, we would say that it is a lot less expensive to have repeat customers than it is to go out and find new ones.
Right.
Yes, and I totally agree with that.
Good improv.
And I think one of the big mistakes that I see other content creators, we chat, we talk, what are you getting paid here, what are you getting paid there, where we're not sworn to secrecy, but it's usually pretty open. Mm-hmm. And the biggest mistake that I've seen among folks who are struggling to make the ends meet is they don't go back and renegotiate.
Yeah.
Right.
And your channel is growing from video to video if you're doing something right. Not only that, your skill is growing. So it's very uncomfortable to say, hey, last time it was 2,500, that was 2 months ago, it's now 3,500 or whatever. I'm just kind of throwing numbers out.
Sure.
But you have every right to, and even with those companies that you've worked with who have seen success, it's just how it is. I did a lot of coaching with a guy named Dan Sullivan for a while, and he has this concept called the last check. And the idea is if someone pays you X today, your price is no longer X. We've now validated that the market is willing to pay X. This is not law of large numbers. Statistically, we don't have 10,000 clicks a day like we do on YouTube to see this thumbnail's working. You're getting 5 emails a day. So you need to make sure that every single quote that you're sending out is giving you new data. I already know that I can get X. So the next quote, and by the way, if you're doing long form at least, but even if you're doing short form, maybe you're doing 1 video a day. So your inventory is very precious. I'm doing 3 videos a month. The minute I get paid X, the price is no longer X, and that's where we can get into signing long-term deals if a company wants to secure the price of X for the next 6 months.
And that's got to be a good negotiating tactic. Dave, I want to ask you 2 things you can jump off of. One, in your channel is 3D DIY. That's very broad. So I think that gives you potentially more of a customer base to work with. And I don't know if that was strategic on your part to begin with. So can you answer that first?
Oh, yes. I do everything. And if I could throw 3D into it somehow, that's it.
Yeah.
right? So
Which can close. I mean, everything's. We live in 3 dimensions.
exactly.
So there you go.
And it's easy. And my account originally started as 3D printing, but it's gone into lasering, CNCs, 3D scanning, even sewing. And so that way I can hit different sponsors, reach out to other companies that aren't in the 3D printing world. And there's just my brain is going. There's so much stuff I wanted to respond to all that. But your question was that I think with finding sponsors in that broader world gives you more opportunities.
Sure.
So try not to kind of just pigeonhole or niche yourself into something. But at the same time, when you are creating content for a product, or if you're getting into creating content, try to make it easier for brands to see what they might get from seeing previous content that you have, and then how that might relate to a different niche, how that could tie in. So a lot of things I do is I take the branded thing and I'll make something really cool, something really interesting, something different, and they'll be like, okay, so if another company has a tool, he's just going to make something really cool with the stuff we have. So the brands can envision what they're hiring you to do. So,
Interesting.
yeah, make it easy for them to hire you.
Adrian, you wanted to elaborate on that?
I wanted to add about negotiation, because everybody, when you hear the word negotiation, you think about money. That should be the last thing you should negotiate about. The first things you should negotiate about the agreement.
Right.
Because especially for shorts, I'm hearing this every single time. It's like, yeah, but how can I ask? They are asking me to do like a 2-minute ad.
Right.
Ad slot in like a 1-minute short, or maybe now these days 3-minute short. Sure. So you should always go back and negotiate the agreement, and you should already be prepared. I mean, these days just ask ChatGPT, to be honest, just to help you with ideas, because it's actually very good at that. So a concrete example, it's like you always go back to them regardless of the offer they give you. Like, never take the offer what you are given. Go back to them with your own proposal that you like to do. For example, if someone reaches out to me, I'm like, I mean, fine, I'm interested. If I'm interested, working with this company, but then I will go reach back and I say, I just gonna give you an example so it's easier for you to understand. I don't want to do a video for 1,000, for example, 1,000 euros. Pay me 10,000 euros, and I will make in the next 3 or 4 months, I will try to reach, to mention your name and your products, maybe to showcase them, like 20 times at least. So that's a deal that I like, because it's so easy and natural for me to integrate in a video. I don't have to run this ad.
Yeah, and you're not constantly having to go back to the well. Courtney, have you implemented this tactic on any of your stuff where you're doing like trying to offer a bulk deal or counter offer kind of technique?
Yeah, so with filament, a lot of times, I mean, companies have more than one color, spool, type. And so we'll go back and say, it might make sense to do multiple, and we go back and, now something that I do, and this is because I prefer to do this, just like in the US, I don't know how it is around the world, but if you've got buying a car, you've got the car salesman, right? And you're working with the salesman, but they're not the one giving you the final price. They have to go back,
Yeah.
to
Who's
the boss.
the stakeholder?
Right, so I actually have a producer, and it's so much easier because he can sell me. And I prefer that because I don't have to. And behind the scenes, of course, we're talking, right? We're making the decision, but and then I don't have to do the contract. Now I'm also having that additional cost incurred to having work with them. But I find that great. But we always go back. We always use our contract, and then we always do ask for something. But we do try to push to multiple.
So you're talking about a little good cop, bad cop, even though. So
we totally
use
good cop, bad cop.
That to
Yeah.
give you so you can be the friendly one and let the producer do the
Yeah.
the dirty work?
Joel Telling employs the same thing. And all the negotiations happen behind the scene, and he sweeps in and he's like, oh, hi. And then they go, yeah, right. And so it's a great thing, but it is at a cost. But regardless, even prior to that, yeah, we would talk to companies, and I would say, if we can do more than one time. Now, we don't want to do necessarily your filament 4 times in a row, because we want to sort of keep presence. Let's remind folks, oh, and if you have any new releases, let's time a video with your releases.
Right.
And then anytime you can do anything special, right, if they ever need anything in a hurry, that's always an upcharge.
Jonathan, jump in there real quick.
Yeah, so we do some of that a little bit, and for some deals that I don't like I work directly with all the 3D printing companies. I do exactly that with my agency for anything non-3D printing. So I have an agreement with them where if it's endemic, because I know, I'm flying to the factories, it's really weird to put an agent in the middle sometimes if they're not on my payroll. But we do another tactic for if we don't want to do the type of, most brands will ask you for a 10-minute dedicated video, which is basically they want an infomercial. They want to embed it on their Kickstarter page or whatever it may be, right? And we just use the price to navigate them to where we want to go. So if I do a project video of my choice, the way I want, and of course I'm going to make your product, shine and show all the wonderful features, but it's not going to be an infomercial, the price is X. If you want an infomercial, the price is 4X.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole menu. I think one of the things that I did that has really worked out for us is I created a whole menu of everything in between. Do you want a 60-second spot? Do you want a podcast episode? Do you want a YouTube short? Do you want a series of videos? Do you want a project video? Or do you want what we call an overview? We don't do paid reviews.
So you have a whole schedule of fees and
whole
product
schedule
offering.
of fees, and then if you want to be able to chop it up and re-edit it and upload it, add a zero on top of whatever the price is.
Oh, I was
We
going to
don't
say,
allow-
if they want to have your content on their platform representing them, that's a whole different thing. They're asking you to be their sponsor, and usually that is timed, not forever. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to quickly add on so that's the licensing basically.
Right.
You should remember this. You should never agree to any contract to sell your rights to the video to the company.
Right.
Many companies are asking for that. Don't do that. You can offer them a licensing for a fee for like a limit. You should always have a limit, and you should always have an exit to any contract and agreement. Can be an email agreement. You should always have an exit. So regarding licensing goes something like this. You make a video for us, then they like the video, they will come back to you and say, hey, can we use it on our website? And you say, yes, for the next 6 months or whatever the period you want. For the next 6 months, if you want to use it, if you run ads on the video, then you limit the ad spending to like 100,000 euros, something like that for the next 6 months and so on. And in return for offering the licensing, you ask for something like 5K, 10K, 20K. The licensing cost, like normally, it's very high. And it should be in your pocket. Don't throw it away.
Just to be clear, though, and I don't know if you do it this way. We allow them to embed. There's an embed feature. You can embed it on your sales page, on your website, on your Kickstarter, whatever, in the original format for free. Which, by the way, any of you could take any of our videos. You don't need to license our content to embed it on the original platform. That's fair use.
If it's a proper embed, not just taking the video.
If it's fair use.
If it's
fair use.
to the original link source content.
Got it.
The minute you download it, even if you re-upload it as is, you are now creating a derivative work, and that's where licensing comes in.
That makes sense. Dave, you want to expand on this?
Well, I want to go back a little bit because I think we're talking about really advanced topics of sponsorship and dealing with contract negotiations. Well, we're getting to negotiations, but I think part of something I want to touch on that we discussed earlier is that we want to just have a conversation, right?
Sure.
We want to ask the client what they're looking for, what they're trying to do. Sometimes it's really basic. It's just like, here's 2 roles, make a reel. And they don't care. There's no contracts. There's no nothing. And those are sometimes the most ideal situation. And as a content creator, it's something you're going to use anyway. They're not telling you what you need to do with it. You just need to just show it off for about 2 seconds or tag them in the post. So to build that relationship, we kind of touched on that again, is that some of these brands are smaller brands. They're just starting. They don't have a marketing team. They don't know anything. They know as much as you do. And so you want to build that relationship and help guide them, help their marketing plan, give them guidance on something, and then that you're part of the team.
Right.
And then from there, after you've pushed out content, you have a little bit more say, a little more power to be like, let's renegotiate what's going on, or let's work on your next campaign, or what products do you guys have coming. So you become part of that conversation as well, because you're having conversations, you're doing that. So
I'm really glad you brought this up because a lot of this is about learning how to read the room and understanding, who you're dealing with. And I got to say, since there's a lot of people out here, raise your hand if you're starting, you're thinking about getting started, or you feel like you're just starting, and this feels like too advanced. So it's like we need to back up to the time where it's like you're trying to get exposure. You're starting to try to build that brand. Can you speak a little bit more, Courtney, about the beginning times?
So at the beginning, companies will I mean, you got to watch it, right? Because you're going to have so many. As soon as, like you're saying, you haven't even been going that long, and it's exciting. But so many of them, and they've set it up, especially on like TikTok now or whatever, where you're getting all of these brands that want to work with you, and the vast majority of them are completely unrelated to what you're doing. And I have seen great channels just go down because they're taking all these offers. This pair of slippers is great and all this. And suddenly they're not doing the content that you came there to see.
Yeah.
And so you got to watch out for that. But then you have the companies that are within whatever you want to work in. I mean, I was very specific, and I am still very niche. I do work on 3D printers, but majority of what we do is filament. I love filament. What can I say? And I wanted to work in filament. I like short form content. I do some long form content, but most of the companies that we work with are within definitely 3D printing and mostly filament and printers. And so we've decided to stay there. And then when we get those companies, how do we engage in a conversation with them? And email is primarily how they want to communicate. Now, something that surprised the heck out of me is my producer wanted to have Zoom calls with them. And I was like, I'm going to have to pay to have Zoom. But what has amazed me is just like when I meet you all here for the first time, and you meet someone for the first time, and there is something different about having a face-to-face, even if it's on there. I cannot believe the companies that never wanted to work with us, and then one Zoom call later, and they understand, and they're excited about working with us.
Adrian, question for you real quick is what Courtney said, working with brands that aren't necessarily related to your channel, is there a danger of that diluting your brand value?
Absolutely not. It's something which I highly recommend to do. So everybody in the end it's think about money in the end. So yeah, you do this from a passion, best case scenario, but in the end, in the back of your mind is always like money. Okay, I need to maybe grow, I need to make more money, and these kind of things. The easiest way, or maybe not the easiest, but a very good way, is just to reach outside of your niche. That's perfectly fine. You just do an integration. 3D printing. Okay, I can reach out to like a robot cleaning company. How do I integrate that? Well, I just like 3D print some brackets and to hide the robot in my furniture, which is something cool. And then you automate with 3D printing. So that's perfect representation of that.
Yeah, Dave, do you try to find application and then work backwards to support the sponsor?
So I think one thing that's helpful, I think, to this is that there was a product I really wanted, which was an e-bike, electronic bike, something I personally wanted, right? I do 3D printing, and I reached out to an e-bike company called Aventon, and I DM'd them like, hey, I'm a maker, I'm a dad, you guys just came out with this new utility bike. It's got technology, I have technology on my channel. I have a really fun idea. I'm gonna pitch you an idea, and if you like it, we can work together. And the idea is that they have this big utility platform on the back, and I put an X1 carbon on the back, and I did 3D printing while riding the bike around. Yeah, and the guy responded, and he's like, I love the idea. You do fit the age group that we're going for, and it's a different demographic than what they're used to. So I'm pulling in the maker outdoor bike rider, and then they're pulling in the maker people from that. So there's a synergy, and for me, that payment was I just wanted a $3,000 bike, and I didn't want more. And they're like, we want you. And I just wanted to make one reel, and they're like, we want 2 reels, and we're going to pay you $6,000 on top of that. Wow. And I'm like, great. I didn't, we signed the contracts. Everything was exactly. I got to create the content I want. I still owe them one more reel, but we're gonna get that done.
This is great. They're negotiating against themselves.
Yeah, I'm like, this is fine. This is the best situation. But it's like you have to shoot your shot. You have to reach out. You have to have the conversation. I have another funny story, but we don't have to get into it. But it's just reach out to sponsors and just give them an idea of what you want to do, something unique, something that hasn't been done before with their account, and let them respond with it.
Jonathan, how much are you pitching sponsors versus sponsors pitching you? What percentage would you say?
Almost never. I just last week actually did a robot vacuum because I needed one for my office. But
necessity is the mother of...
And it worked out really well. And actually my former rep at one of the 3D printer companies moved over to Narwhal. So relationship building, to your point, and getting people's WeChat or WhatsApp or whatever. We're mostly not pitching. We're mostly being pitched. And to Courtney's point, I just cannot emphasize how shockingly fast it will happen that you will start getting people reaching out to you.
Really?
after your first or fifth video, people will start reaching out. And the sad truth is, they're able to take advantage of new content creators so much because it's, oh my God, my first printer.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to warn about is I love the ancillary, like, hey, any kind of tool, great for 3D printing, any kind of cleaning. I love the ancillary nearby. I want to warn against I call them sponsors of convenience. So if you notice that most of YouTube is sponsored by Squarespace, NordVPN, Saley, Shopify, right? These are
Better Health.
Kiwi.
yeah, Better Health. They're I have nothing against the products, but in our niche at least, because they're so unrelated, they will pay consistently on time and they will sign a 6-month contract. They will pay you half to a quarter as much as you are worth because they're convenient, they're reliable, they're kind of a blue chip stock in that sense, and because the conversion's just going to be so low. So I at least went through this phase where I'm like, great, Squarespace wants to sign up for 6 videos for the next year. And then you realize like you've grown and you're getting paid a quarter of what you're worth. So if you have the stomach for it or bring on a producer who can do it for you, you're always going to do better going out and bringing on new deals and deals that are closer to our niche where the sponsor is going to get tremendous value. It has to make sense.
Yeah, that's
Mark
awesome.
Gizmo's idea, though, is 3D printing. You can, if you have something and you can connect it to 3D printing with something that you're doing that's practical, well, that's gold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adrian, jump in there, and then we're going to take some audience questions.
I've done the other aspect, like reaching out to companies. I've done it early on, and I can tell you it's a numbers game. You can easily reach out to any company you want. You of course need to have a small amount of videos, like 10, 20 videos, something like that. They can be like shorts made with your phone, like extremely low margin. When you start reaching out to companies, and I started myself reaching out to companies when I was doing super cringy videos in the beginning, and I think I was having like 300 followers, something like that. This was like 5 years ago. So it's like, you can consider it almost zero. Not so many views. And then I started reaching out to companies. And then for me, I knew that it's a numbers game. So it's not cherry picking one specific company which you like I want this bike. Yeah, okay, but they might not reply to you or they might ignore you. Just ask AI, just give me the top 20 companies that are doing e-bikes. Give me the list, give me the email address, send the same email to all of them at once. Remember, it's a numbers game. Do that.
Can I add to that?
Nice. Add to that.
Yeah. So when the bike company that I was going after, I knew that they were working with makers because I saw their account, I followed them, I see that they're working with people, and I've seen the accounts that they've worked with that they could possibly work with me. If they look like they have an in-house company doing all their advertising and all that kind of stuff, or a bigger brand, they're probably not going to work with a smaller brand for the content. So it's important to do your homework and see if you already fit into kind of their promotion a little bit, so that they can envision your stuff with their posts and stuff. Because if you're very low budget filming and content, which is very good, and it's more authentic than something that is very high produced, they're not going to mix that content together on their platforms and their advertising. So just do your homework. Yeah.
All right, who has a question? Who wants to kick off the audience questions? Here, Zachary, I'm going to start with you. And let's use the mic so the people on the stream can hear you, okay?
Yeah, Zach here. I have a question. At what point should you start negotiating? I mean, like 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 or 50,000, or just from the beginning?
Go ahead.
I can start from the beginning, from 0 subscribers. These days, we don't have social media anymore. We have interest media on all the platforms. It doesn't matter how many subscribers or followers you have. It matters if you make videos and how much engagement, which means how many views you have, and then like comments. Comments are even more important, and also likes. So when a company is approaching you, and of course, let's say you have 5 videos, you can easily ask for like a free product of like 2,000 euro, 3,000, 5,000. It's not a problem. Just have the conversation, because if they know what if they have experience, they will see, oh, but you have like 50 comments on a video, or maybe 10 comments. They will accept that.
Just really quick, let's do 2 and 2. So I'll let you do the second, and then we'll take more questions that way. And then
Yeah.
Courtney and Dave, you can do the next series. Is that good? Go ahead, jump in.
I was just going to build on that because I think a lot of people don't realize that YouTube, at least, and definitely TikTok and all of this, it's become so algorithmic that subscriber count has nothing to do with really anything. The only reason that it matters actually is clout, ego. And there are some sponsors who are not savvy and do not realize how little it matters. You can have a 0 subscriber channel, get a 10 million view video, and you can also have dead channels that have 10 million. If you're subscribed, it doesn't really matter if I'm going to show up in your feed or not. So to his point, negotiate as if, hey, this is my view count on a video. I know, and I'm sure you guys know, my exact average view count for a video, and that's what we operate on.
Fantastic. Pash, you had a question.
Yes. Obviously, you've done lots of these sponsorships, lots of deals before. Can you tell us about one of your horror stories that you've had with one of them? You can anonymize or not.
Courtney, you got
Me?
any? Dave.
I mean, I think I don't have any super horror stories, but there are times where I've given the go away money price to a brand or company that I just didn't want to work with. I'm like, this is going to cost this much, and they're like, yes, and I'm like, oh no, like I'm part of this now, and I'm going to do it. So that's probably the worst situation. But I if there's somebody I don't want to work with, I just don't even, I'm just like, thank you for the consideration. At this time, I just can't work with you guys for whatever reason. And I always kind of keep it cordial because who knows, down the road, maybe something better happens that they make or that I want to use or whatever, so.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time and effort on a product that just struggled, and you realize that I'm not going to put a video out on this, and it's just taking time, and you have to go back to the company and say, I can't do this.
Like a week's worth of work to diagnose and fix all the bugs.
Yep.
And you start out at, well, it's pre-production, it's a Kickstarter, they say it's a Kickstarter, they're raising money to improve the product.
Yep.
So you start out giving them the benefit of the doubt. Before you know it, you're 3 weeks in, you've put 100 hours into fixing the printer, and you're like, I'm not comfortable sharing this.
Yeah, if I put a video out on this, it's just going to kill. It's just going to kill it, and so.
And in your integrity as well.
Right. So I'm either going to put a video out and say it works when it doesn't, or, it doesn't work. So that's the time. It's just a waste of time, and you aren't making a good choice at the beginning, because when that's happened, I think we should have known. We should have seen this.
I just want to, while I have the opportunity, I have been an advocate for a while now of putting into our contracts like a fix-it fee, right? So it's like, hey, I understand pre-production printer, first hour or two of bug fixing on me, no problem, it's to be expected. But everyone who will listen, I've been telling them to do this, put an hourly rate in where it's like, if I need to fix your printer, whether or not the video comes out, if you're sending me replacement parts and I'm swapping them, if we're getting on Zoom calls to fix firmware, here's the hourly rate. I don't know if people have taken up the idea, but I've started doing it. And that way, even if the video never comes out, I was a paid consultant on this project. I helped you find 15 different things that are wrong with the hot end of your printer. It doesn't actually work. And you're compensated for your time.
And something I want to add to that, my recommendation is, because these kind of deals, these kind of agreements, they take time. Right. So my recommendation always, if you have a little small concern about that, ask for some 50% of the money up front. Mm-hmm. Because there are many companies you will go back to them, hey, I've worked for 1 month, I don't like this, I'm not releasing the video. And then they will say, fine, you don't get paid. And although you have a contract, there's nothing you can do with some of the companies. Right. So ask for the money up front.
Courtney, you go ahead.
I was going to say 2 things. Short form content, we always ask for the money up front, always. Every now and then, if we're doing repeated, we'll do half the money. But yeah, always, because it's not worth the time. But the other thing is, years ago, Thomson Lederer, which I'm not saying his name properly since it's German, but he had a contract out, and he said, look, here's the kinds of things I have in my contract. And I thought that was great for basis. And it's the kind of thing you want to protect yourself. And I don't remember if it's easily accessible on our website, and we've updated it. But I will put that out there. I'll see if I can do that, because that's a great way to get started, just to see the kinds of things. It's not complicated, but it prevents it. It's instead of them asking all these things, it's like, this is what we will do.
Yep. It's way easier to just spend like the 1 hour, go through a contract like that. There are several available online. Spend 1 hour, go to the contract. You will feel much more comfortable having the discussion afterwards and asking for the contract.
Okay. Guys, you guys have done fantastic work. We're just closing out our time right now. You're all going to be here both days, right?
Yes.
So I want to encourage you guys, when you get out there, please, please, please reach out, ask any other questions we have. I know we never have enough time for audience participation and stuff, but you guys are a fantastic resource, and we appreciate you being here to continue to do this. So everybody, please thank our panel here for participating.
Project Zoom.